with veterans, and that is a very, very good effort. We desperately need to bring in more veterans. And I've said this 1,000 times, that we are not gaining people due to lack of information to the voters. If the voters knew the truth, we would win every election around. So we have to continue to engage, and veterans are very, very important. He's also extremely busy traveling to all these different counties that his district includes. So he's doing well, and I saw him 2 weeks ago. He came to my home for a meeting, and he was telling me things that he's doing, and he's very active. I'm very proud of Mike. Maggie, would you like, no, not you, you're eating. Roman, would you tell us what?
Just read mine. Just read it.
She's block walking her own precinct for the upcoming primary. That's great, because that is engagement. You're engaging voters at the door.
1,000 votes.
Very good. She's trying to meet them personally to encourage them to go to the polls and vote. And she's been attending various candidate forums. I'm sure you all know how many candidate forums are out there. There's almost one every single day. I know in San Antonio, there's been 2 and 3 per day going on at the same time. So this is the season, and thank you for doing that. And she's talking to folks wherever she's in line or overhears a conversation, she chimes in. Maggie sounds a lot like me. I never miss a time for an opportunity. They're everywhere. She's getting Democrats. Oh, her district is getting Democrats serving as Republican precinct chairs. So she's calling them out and making others aware. Very good. Making others aware of that situation. And I've said this also, we have too many Democrats who run as Republicans. And it's happening everywhere.
So Maggie, are these Democrat precinct chairs, are they sabotaging us? Or is there a chance that they've really seen the light?
No, I think they are more spies.
Yes.
Than anything.
That's the way it is in Bear County. And they vote down our values. They've infiltrated tremendously. And she has a new red shirt that reads "Voter Lady" in large white letters on the front. Good for you, Maggie. She wears it at club meetings and block walking. And you know, that's a very good attention getter. It opens up conversation.
I'm gonna wear it in Beaumont too when I'm walking.
Very good, Maggie. She's also doing a series of short videos with Becky Green to help show others who might be new to politics or block walking on how to approach others successfully. That's wonderful. Very good. Thank you for what you're doing. And Roman, would you like to let us know what you're doing?
Go ahead.
Just read it.
Yeah.
He's done his usual activities. He's attending several grassroots organization meetings, including Waller County Patriots, Houston Christian Patriots, several other county meetings, Brazoria County and Harris County 3 times. He has sent significant numbers of emails, 2,400, and text messages, 1,000 to get the vote out. Excellent. He's attended numerous meet and greet campaign meetings, and that this is the season. Thank you, Roman, for your work. Dale, do you have something to tell us? Oh, hold
I
on.
spent the last few weeks, maybe 3 weeks now, I'm on a vetting committee in Harris County called Conservative, Christian Conservative Harris County. It's been doing it for like 20 years, and we vet all competitive campaigns locally and statewide. We just finished that, and then we make an endorsement, and it's done to try to help people who really just don't have any idea who they should vote for. Try to vet out the most conservative
Great.
people.
What group is this, Roman?
CCHC.
Who's running that?
Huh?
Who's running that?
I don't know who's actually.
Alma, I'm pretty involved. I've never heard of this group.
You've never heard of it?
No. Who are they?
You know Norma Jeter?
Huh?
Norma Jeter?
Oh, Norma, that's what Norma
She's
said?
involved. I don't think she's heading it up. Josh Flynn's on there?
Oh, okay.
Well, very good.
Yeah.
Do y'all get good crowds?
No, what we do is send out questionnaires to all the candidates. We do a Zoom meeting. They get a chance to tell themselves, about themselves. Then we get a 15-minute interview with each of them. And we've done that, I don't know how many this time, last go around, we did like 86 candidates.
That's wonderful.
It's just it's a tremendous amount of work, but it helps me a lot because, you know, I try to guide people in the right direction to vote
Yes.
for the most conservative candidates.
And we have to do that.
Yeah.
I've got young people tell me how wonderful Mitt Romney was, and oh, they're so uninformed, and that's why we got to reach them in the
He
high
was better than
schools.
Obama, though.
Well, it's interesting also because there's so many candidates running that I think are extremely naive about the process.
That is true.
About just a lot of things, and, you know, people just don't know. You know, they throw out stuff in flyers and they have no idea.
That's true.
There are a lot of people who like to finger point
You can hold their feet to the
for
fire.
their own little agenda item, and they think that's all there is, and
Yeah.
they file, and
Then they get eaten alive.
yeah, if they win, they really get eaten alive.
Well, the other thing that I have found really interesting is, you've got guys running for Congress. When you ask them, how much money do you think it'll take to get to the end of the job, they'll say like 20 grand. It's like, wow, these guys are running for US Congress and have no idea. how
That
much
might have been in the 1930s.
That's always the first question
Yeah.
I ask when somebody comes to me and they want me to sign their petition or endorse their campaign. Said, well, so how much do you think it's going to cost to run this campaign? And they'll tell me, and I'll say, well, do you know how much the last candidate for Congress spent in a primary and lost?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've got friends that spent $750,000 and lost. So, yeah, I mean, and you know, I mean, there's just certain qualifications you have to be a candidate, you know, because it's going to rob you of your whole year,
Yes,
a lot of your money, relationship with your family, and unless you understand that, you're willing to live with it.
it is
You
a
don't have
tremendous
any business
sacrifice.
And you're gonna pull votes from our good candidates.
Yeah.
Right.
That's another good point.
Yeah.
Well, Howard, how's your group doing?
Well, I'm delinquent in not sending you my usual report.
Well, I thought that was unusual.
But I've had some distractions with one distraction we've had in Harris County is that there's an ill-conceived race against our county chair. And that's taken up an awful lot of my time and Roman's time, I think.
This is Cindy Siegel?
Yeah. And she has done so much for the party. The party was in ashes before.
I would love to meet her.
Yeah, well,
Does she ever attend these meetings, or SREC
she
meetings?
has been before, but right now she's under such fire and trying to win this election.
Okay.
You know, there's, I mean, the candidate that is running against her is sort of a renegade who's kind of a wolf in sheep's clothing, offered to raise a bunch of money for us and then turned against Cindy and now is, you know, I don't think he's doing it on purpose to hurt the party, you know, but the fact is the same. You know, we get, the party and our candidates are faced with all kinds of distractions at
Yes.
all levels, whether it's, you know, in DC or Austin,
Yes, I
or in our
understand.
counties, or in our school boards or whatever. They can't win on the issues, and so they have to distract and force us to defend our positions rather than really get down to doing the work, the engagement type work that we're talking about. You know, when you're fighting these fights that don't need to be fought, you know, it's a problem. But I do have some news about the high school clubs, some positive news. I did go to a forum in Conroe, and during the course of that, they announced that they had a new Teenage Republicans of Texas chapter in Conroe, which I hadn't heard about because their Teenage Republican leadership is also distracted, but and not responding very well. But they brought 11 kids into this forum. They introduced them all, and the sponsor, the school sponsor, was I think a shop teacher, athletic coach or something. He came and he spoke, and it was great. We had Morgan Luttrell is their U.S. representative, and he had his chief of staff there, and they were talking about, you know, I think this was a TFRW club meeting, and so they were talking about the benefits of joining TFRW, participating, you know, in their meetings and their events and everything. And Morgan's representative stood up and said, "We're buying the membership for all 11 kids." And so not only are they
That's great.
teenage Republicans of Texas, but they're also members of that TFRW club in Conroe. I've had limited success reaching the TPUSA people, but I did get a report from the northern group. Their director up there was a woman named Faith Schultze, I think it was. And she and her husband moved for business reasons, I think, and she's been replaced by Edith. Give me a second here and I'll get her name. Emily Bryce. And I got a report from Emily that they now have 20 high school clubs. They had 19 last time. They added 3 and lost 2, so they get a net one increase. A little disappointed, you know, that we're not getting more active participation and growth in you know, this program, but I think the word is getting out. You know, when you have a group in Conroe that's unsolicited by anybody I know, and they form a club, you know, just because there's a need. I think the message is getting out there. In the southeast, you know, that's basically Harris County and surrounding areas. They tell me we've got 30 clubs, and that's an increase of 3. I haven't gotten a detailed list of what the clubs are. But we also have the president of the Beaumont TFRW club, the outgoing president, has decided to dedicate herself to starting high school clubs in the Beaumont area. So we should start seeing some activity there. I hear that they're in the Katy area, and maybe you guys know a little bit more about this than I do, but I'm told that there are groups trying to start clubs in 4 of the Katy high schools. So I don't know how accurate that is, but the issue is out there. They're talking about it. This Edith person lives in Dallas. Her predecessor lived in Tarrant County in Fort Worth. And she has already reached out to Susan Fountain. They're going to have a meeting next week.
Right.
And so Susan is making the Dallas party facilities available for any of the TPUSA clubs that don't have a place to meet. So there is one very interesting thing that I'd like to talk about that isn't technically engagement, I don't guess, but about 3 years ago, I guess that would have been the 2020 election.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it started before that, but my church pastor is a precinct chair and an SD caucus chair in Harris County, the biggest SD I think in Texas, Paul Betancourt's SD. And I call our church, which is Glorious Way Church, the epicenter for conservative Christian political speak in Harris County, if not Texas. Our pastor is not shy about talking about political issues. And we get a lot of participation from people in our church. But anyway, so about 3 years ago, we were putting out yard signs, and our associate pastor created a sign called "My God Votes." And so we go put a yard sign in, by next to it, he put "My God Votes." So it wasn't as big as a yard sign, it was like a little bitty.
Yes.
And so that sort of
It got
was
attention.
out there. And in the last legislative session, Steve Toth, I think everybody knows Steve Toth from Montgomery County, a very conservative House rep, and an ordained minister. He decided he wanted to start having prayer services at least once a week in the Capitol. And he reached out to our people, and we sent representatives to help him set that up and to participate and to recruit other pastors to come in and lead sessions. And all through this last legislative session, Steve Toth and our church and all these other pastors have been having prayer sessions. I think it was one day a week, but I'm not really sure. But that word got around, and they started getting calls from all over the country. Well, and one benefit that they got out of this was they would invite a pastor to come in to do a prayer service right in the morning. And the pastor would well, don't you have some kind of security there in the Capitol? Do I need a pass or something? No, you just come through the security and you go to room such and such. And wow, and so it was an eye-opening experience for these pastors. And in addition to the prayer session, then they would get a tour of the Capitol, and here's what we're doing, on the spiritual side, and here's some of the bills that you can pay some attention to. You can advertise in your congregations and so forth. So then questions started coming. Well, gee, I've missed it. We need to be more engaged in my county and my city and my town and my precinct. How do we do that? And so it's led to more engagement from Christians that way. So we started getting My God Votes set up a website, and they started getting interest from all over the country. And it was, how God is going to provide more than you can think or imagine. And so, we couldn't handle it all. And so we had to limit it. So in this legislative session, starting, in January, we are supporting similar prayer sessions in both Oklahoma legislature and the Louisiana legislature. And, we expect that to grow and to branch out. We've had tonight, I'm going to have to leave after this session and go to Houston for the inaugural fundraiser. And so, it's a $75 a plate kind of thing, and we're going to have 250 people there to kick off My God Votes, so that they've already hired people, to be representatives in Oklahoma, and I think we're looking for somebody in Louisiana, but, we need funds. To carry this on, and so, being in Texas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana, we're kind of preaching to the choir, right? So, I look forward to the day when we're in Illinois and New York and California and Oregon and like that, and we have movements like that. But I thought that would be interesting too.
It's starting to happen. Is that pastor involved with the Pastors Council?
Yeah.
Good.
And Tom Oliver's son is one of the top conservative House reps. Tom Oliver's son became the representative from Texas to a group that I probably don't have the name right, but it's something like Christian Legislators of America or something like that, And so they get one legislative person from every state. So there's 50 of them, sort of like SREC is. And so they have that. And he's been participating in that for about 4 years, I guess. He's very big with Houston Pastor Council, and my associate pastor is also very big in Houston Area Pastor Council. And so, there is that connection. But just at one of the most recent meetings of this National Association of Christian Legislators, Tom Oliverson was elected the president. So for the next year or 2 years, I don't know what their cycles are, he's going to be the president of that Christian Legislators Association. So that gives him exposure, you know, to the national scene. He'll be able to help promote My God Votes and Christian issues in legislatures all over the country. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of a
That's great.
interesting thing.
We do need to get more pastors involved because they're all afraid to preach about things that are wrong. And our culture is so fallen. It's just so corrupt. It's very, very different from when we grew up. I had a pastor call me yesterday with the Pastors Council, and he's coming to my home on February 29th to do a meeting. So I'm gathering as many, I've worked with pastors in the past. In fact, when I was a precinct chairman, I used to go to churches, call the pastors, just to ask if I could get into their church to speak on the importance of voting. Most said no. Some said yes. Very few said yes. But it got me in there. And some said, you can come, but you can't mention Republican or Democrat. So there was, the Bible says, be wise as a serpent and gentle as a dove. So I'd go in there and I would talk about bad bills that had been passed. And I would say, Congressman so-and-so passed this bill. And you could hear someone, that was a Democrat. And I go, mm-hmm. So I got my point across. And of course, I chose the worst bills possible just to show them how bad things were. And when I'd mention who passed it, I was able to get the message across. And in that same manner, I was able to bring in many precinct chairmen. Because I recruited a whole lot of them. San Antonio was hurting, and it's hurting again. But the work we do is so important, and we can't stop.
Well, when you point out to these pastors, when you can get them, to talk eye to eye about these issues, it's very clear that conservative issues are Bible issues. I mean,
Yes.
Conservative principles are Bible principles, and if they're not teaching those Bible principles and pointing out the connection to conservative principles, they're missing the boat.
They sure are, and they're doing us a great disservice. I just don't see how they can be pastors when they're not preaching the truth. That's the bottom line. Preach the Bible.
One of the driving forces in the formation of the country was the churches.
Amen.
Those pastors were involved.
The black robe regimen.
Yeah, and they.
If we know our history, we should know about that.
And now they're all too afraid of losing parishioners and losing money. And
That's right.
I tell you, I just have to.
Exempt status,
Yes.
or their tax exempt status.
Well, that's right. But I mean, our pastor is unafraid of that.
I'm glad
and
to hear that.
He's challenged it, It's sort of a come and take it. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. It's recorded on our website, so.
And it's true. Do any of you listen to Jack Hibbs? He's amazing. From California. California.
How he's ballot harvesting is amazing.
Yep. He's an amazing pastor. He's a great example to other pastors. So Dale.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, I'm listening to all these comments. I tried that with the church thing too, I just left the SREC meeting a couple of years ago actually, and so I went into the church and I made a special appointment with the preacher. I want to talk to him personally. So I sat down and I said, I'm involved in politics, doing this stuff. I thought it'd be a really good idea if we could set up a voter registration booth. Oh no, we can't do this. We never do that here. But maybe you could pass out a sheet in the choir. But you know what kind of people they are. I'm like, oh man, we got a problem here.
We do.
But and that's typical. Now I go to a different church, but I have to leave that. I just couldn't deal with that anymore. So we're going to a little bit more friendly church now that likes to listen to the truth and wants to make it straight. But so I do a lot of things involved with technology since I'm a computer company, and that's why I just came helping somebody get on the internet, things like this. So I'm trying to corral. It's kind of like Howard's doing in high schools. I'm trying to do this with our precincts and our 7th district, because people they're not involved.
That's right.
The precinct chairs don't even come to EC meetings. I mean, this is, and so So what I am trying to do is contact, I'm not getting any help from the county chair. I can't even do this, but anyway, no, I mean, he's like, no, well, I'll think about it. Okay, think away. And so I'm going in from a different angle now, because I'm a precinct chair and SD caucus chair. We're getting ready for all that stuff going on there, trying to contact the people and get them engaged. This way, if you can engage the chairs, the precinct chairs, you can reach a bunch of people, more people than you can if you engage just individual voters. So that's what I'm working on right now, building a list, trying to find out who these people are and contact them, give them a call. I'm gonna call them anyway. I know who's not there, I know who's there. So I'll find out who's thinking that I'm gonna start taking a look at my own list, check out this person's there, I mean, this one's not there. So I'm gonna call them and tell them, look, you realize you just missed 2 executive sessions. Guess what? I can't tell you what happened. If you'd have been there, you'd have known the inside story. Things like this. Tell them, look, there's excitement going on here. You're missing out. We are supporting candidates. So I'm trying to approach it from that angle to, and I use a CRM, MailChimp CRM that I'm building up right now. In fact, just today I'm getting more people list to put on there. The problem is emails. You can't get emails from like the GOP data center. They don't have hardly any.
They're inaccurate.
And inaccurate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
I looked up my profile. They said my ethnicity is black and African. I said, what? Oh, I don't know. You know. So what that tells me is that profile that they set up is based on address and not. I mean, that's how they're getting it. Obviously, my precinct is black. Primarily black, but I mean, they put me in there, they got me totally messed up, you know? And so some of the things they're saying in that data center is wrong, so you can't base it on everything. And even some of the Republicans, some of them, they say they're hard Republicans, and like we were saying before, some of these people are spies. They vote in a Republican primary, just so they can throw it off, the Operation Chaos effect, you know, type of thing. And so you go to their door, hard Republican, oh no, I'm not.
I've had that happen to me.
I'm like, what? You know, I mean, you know, and so you have that problem. So I think that by approaching the chairs and the Senate District Caucus leaders and things like this, we can get a hold of a lot more people faster.
Well, that is true. I wish that we had training programs for the precinct chairman. We're supposed to. Every
Yeah.
county's supposed to have
Yeah.
that. But I know in Bear County, it was
got-
lacking tremendously.
They have, this is Senate District 17, they have produced a nice booklet. This is better than before, it's only 23 pages. See, before we had something like.
Who produced that?
This is SD 17. And it's good because it's not like overwhelming. I think if you get a 50-page book, if you
Yes,
look at it, it's like, oh,
I agree. Keep
God.
it very simple, even
Yeah,
if it's
so-
just bullet points.
Yeah, that's kind of like what this is. And so we have the precinct chair training handbook and the precinct chair. It's a little bit more substantial in the handbook. I guess there's 34 pages, but it gives, I think it's more like helping people understand what their tools are. Not saying you got to do this, you got to do page 1 through page 34, make sure you check each page. It's not like that. It's more like, okay, here's your reference. Get a reference. Because so many people, I mean, I've heard this a lot. You go to a precinct chair and they say, I don't know what to do. I say, you don't know what to do?
That's unfortunate.
And what gets me with the precinct chairs
Yeah.
is that, have you lifted a finger to figure it out at all?
Well, that's the other end
Right,
of
like,
this
have
too.
you got, I mean, I get it that,
We have a lot of bench warmers. They
you
just
know,
sit
you have to
and
have a
do
little
nothing.
inquisitiveness. I mean, even if you just, Google precinct chair, so that's, they want to be handheld.
We wrote that in SD 17 because I, for one, learned everything on my own. And you get these, you sign up new precinct chairs, they're really excited, and you give them nothing, And then they just lose interest and they're gone. So it is very helpful to have a document like that. I wanted to also address what you had to say about email addresses. I was told years ago that this was okay. I've never really tested it since, but when I run my primaries, I set up a desk, a table, before people get to the voting booth. And I ask them for email addresses. I ask them to sign up for the conventions. I give them the information on where the conventions are and the time and place for everything. And it's been extremely successful. I had, from my precinct last year, I had 20 people attend the state convention last time.
That's great,
Well,
Roman.
yeah, a lot of
I'm
people go
surprised
one
that
or
they
two.
allow you to do that, because I
I'm
was,
told if you're running it, if the party's running the election, you're allowed to do that.
You're
Nobody's
doing
gonna
this where,
question you on
Roman?
that.
Where are you doing this?
That's primary.
In my.
Primary election.
Where I vote.
they wouldn't allow that in San
They
Antonio.
don't allow it in-
Not in San Antonio.
Both in the
They
same building in the
kick
same
us out of
place.
there.
Well, they're separated. Now, this year, we're not. In Harris County, we're all going to the same place. So I don't know what I'm gonna do this year, but I'm told when the party runs it, you can do that. I don't know. I mean.
You need to check with Sonia, then you check with Sonia Ashton or
Yeah.
Vanessa or.
Well, that's
Cindy.
great.
The
Because
other
they-
thing that I've done for quite a few cycles now, I have 1,200 emails, is I ask the candidates that are running in my area if they'll give me their database, and they almost always do. And you smash that against what you have, you can find a lot of new information. And I do a lot of texting. Texting is much more effective, I think, than emailing. And, I get that information mostly from candidates.
I have talked to them as they leave and at least gotten a name. You know who the Republicans are because they have a separate line. We don't this year in Harris County, but normally it's a separate line, separate machines and all that. So I try to at least meet them as they're going out, introduce myself as their precinct chair, and that establishes a relationship. And then if they want to give me a business card or email or cell number or something like that. And that even that might be pushing it a little bit, but like you say, I mean, this is the biggest argument for not having countywide voting, because in primaries with countywide voting, you don't really know which way they're voting because those are not separated in early voting. It's only on election day that we have the opportunity in Harris County to have
Well,
separate
how
votes.
do you inform your voters if you don't do something like I'm doing on where
Right.
the precinct convention is? It's not at the voting location, it's a week later,
Right.
So.
Yeah. We print out, we do it that night, the night of.
We've always done it that night.
We're not doing that at Harris County.
Yeah, but look, if you have countywide voting, those people aren't voting in your precinct. They may not even know where your precinct is. Election day, you have a little better idea because there's more voting locations and they're more geographically close to their precinct if they vote in that, but they can still vote anywhere in the county.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, in the last election, countywide voting, we recognized the problem of people don't know where their precinct convention is going to be. So, well, it was like pulling teeth to get the Secretary of State to approve a message that says your precinct convention is going to be held at on X date at such and such a location, because we had to print it in 4 languages, and that's the only way we
That's
can have
wrong.
anything at the polling location.
That's wrong.
We have a front and back page, 8.5 by 11, and we've listed out every address, every precinct number, and every address on it, front and back, with the sign off, so we have to sign off that we've given it to them. And we just, basically, when we see when they go to vote, they show their precinct number, and we just highlight the location and hand it to them and tell them, go back to see you on.
For the convention.
Whatever.
But you have precinct voting or statewide voting?
Countywide,
How many precincts on your list?
120?
We have 1,162.
Oh, okay.
I thought we had a mess. 734.
Fort County is printing out 100,000, 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper that show where the precinct, where the precinct and Senate district caucuses will be held, time, places, and everything like that. It's a nice, very attractive piece, and I haven't heard anything about 4 different languages and all this other
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I haven't heard anything like this.
Well, you might check with the Secretary of State, because you might.
We're about,
Well, I mean, you're discriminating against people that can't read English, so that's the argument, you know?
It's just
Read
wrong.
English, how do they read the ballot?
Right.
yeah. Exactly.
There you go. Robin, you're not part of this, but you are. And do you have anything to add? She just received a very nice award in El Paso.
Did, I was honored as a Hall of Fame, Republican Hall of Famer for the Republicans in El Paso.
Wow.
I got a really nice little plaque, which was really nice. I was like, is that for like old people? No. You're retiring from the Republican Party. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I got a lot of years of here.
They're kicking you out.
I was laughing. So anyway, but no, it was very, very nice. And so, but we did we just did our Lincoln dinner. And so I was really pushing for my precinct chairs. We printed out all their hard Republicans for every precinct chair, asked them to call and text all of them to get them to come to our Lincoln dinner, trying to get them to kind of break that ice and get them involved and do the things
Great.
that they need to do. So we had precinct chairs texting all of their people, and 3 of them got banned on their email or text messaging for 3 days. They cut them off of all text messaging.
How does that happen?
Who cut them off?
Yeah.
Monitored all the time.
T-Mobile, and they were doing one at a time, not like mass texting or group texting or anything like that.
Well, what was the reason to cut them off?
Was it
You
what?
need to use a texting software to do it. That's what I do.
Okay,
And it doesn't cost much.
okay,
And, so it's not going through a common carrier.
okay.
Yep.
So it was T-Mobile, can't figure out why, they won't tell you why. They
I-
call, they
I
try
didn't
to
think
talk
that
to
was
the next
possible.
manager, the next manager, the next
I
manager.
thought Facebook did that.
Yeah,
I-
so it's not good. So anyway, again, well then that was my point to say, okay, well, so in my phone, and I'm trying to get everybody that you meet to tag them in your phone as, I put them in a group. So I have like conservative, if you're conservative, I talk to you for the first time. I mark you as conservative. And so I have like over, 350 people in my phone. So before every election, I text them and say, hey, this is Robin, just reminding you. But so they know me. So I don't know if that's why I don't get cut off or whatever the case is. I don't know. So anyway, I just told them, I said, well, it's a good indication that you need to be calling these people and knowing whether they are or are not conservatives, right? But that's the other thing with the GOP data center I have a problem with, is that you can't go back in and put a note in there and say, this person is definitely not a hard Republican, right? And I said, and that should be information that we should be able to edit and update in the system, because we have to use the information to recall our people. And I said, even if you had to go to the precinct chair had to go to the county chair and give a list and say, hey, these people are not what they say in the
Yes.
GOP data center, so it can all be updated or something. But I said, something's got to change.
We've been complaining about that for years.
Oh, yeah.
I was the precinct
Yeah,
chairman for 29 years.
Yeah.
29 years, and we have been complaining, and all we hear is, well, RNC is in charge of it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, why doesn't Texas have their own?
Well, why doesn't each county have its own? So there's just.
There are
supposedly
people
in,
working
On that?
to do that, yeah. But they're not well funded, you
Well,
know.
supposedly the campaign sidekick. So this is the other thing that, this has nothing to do with him, he's just relaying the information, but the fact is, well, on campaign sidekick, so they give access to candidates, right? So the candidates get the campaign sidekick for block walking out and stuff. Okay, that's fine. Well, then they have administrative access to the campaign sidekick, so they can make changes in the campaign sidekick. I said, so the Republicans are giving candidates access to make changes, but the precinct chair who knows these people and have to see them for cycle after cycle.
Is that true?
That's what they said, that's what he said. And I said, well, that's,
See, I have changed information on the data, and it takes it. But I can go back 2 days later and it's reverted back to what it was.
Yeah, it doesn't
So-
save it, yeah. Because you've got it.
And we were told in Bear County, you can change it, you can update it yourself.
Well,
It
talk to Micah,
doesn't
because
stay.
It was Micah that was telling us that, wasn't it? Yeah, talk to Micah, because he said that, you can do Advantage or Campaign Sidekick, and if you know the right button to push, it'll update it, but.
Well, it did update it,
Yeah.
but it reverted after a few days back to the
Talk to
old
Mike.
one.
the exact same for over 20 years. There's no update whatsoever. So, I mean, you print out one contact information is 10 pages long. It's
Outdated and it's
completely
wrong.
outdated and not used and all
And
of
then
those
he
things.
put in
And
there.
so if we keep paying for this information year after year after year, I'm sorry, they haven't put any money into, what do they call, development to make this program
Accurate.
good, and we still pay for this? I don't understand.
I didn't know we were paying for it.
Oh, yeah,
Are we?
RPT pays for it.
I
From the
thought it was
RNC.
just a gift from RNC and that's why they never,
No.
they don't keep it up. We're paying for garbage? Oh, God help us.
Robin, I would recommend mass texting software. It's called Project Broadcast. I just looked that up, and it costs you around 3 cents to send a text. You just put the whole list in there, you fire it off, you get your message in there, and then it systematically sends out the text.
What is that called?
Project Broadcast, is the name of the,
And 3 cents
I
per
think
text?
It's about 3 cents a text. They charge a flat rate, and, but it monthly rate, but it comes out to, if you do any kind of texting, it's a really great product. And very easy to use. You can import your data through Excel and the likes. And it allows you to really send out, and I think texting is much more effective.
It is. People tend to look at their phones quicker than
People
email.
will open it up and look at it.
Roman, what was the name of that project? What?
Project Broadcast.
Broadcast. Okay. I have been very busy. I have been to Mission, Texas, which is you just look, I don't know, 10 feet and Mexico is there. Mission, Texas, it's the very border. And I have been talking away about our values, our principles, why we Hispanics should, that it's predominantly Hispanic. You see a white person there and they stand out immediately. And we welcome everybody. It doesn't, race is unimportant to us, but the messages, they're very, very on fire there for Trump. And I'm so grateful. I don't think anyone here can take credit for what is going on there. It is Trump. They're very on fire for him because he made such a difference. And as bad as he can be, y'all know this, arrogant, calling Nikki Haley bird brain, and I wish he would stop all that, but, and telling her that her dress was cheap looking, knock it off. But even with all that, I wish he wouldn't do that. But people are waking up in hordes. I mean, the Hispanics that came up to me to talk to me, I was just very, very impressed.
Well, the same,
No, they're legals. They're people who live there.
The same thing happened in 2020, because I think it was Hidalgo and Starr County, both, well, they didn't flip. I think Starr might have flipped, but there were 2 or 3 counties on the valley
Yes.
that actually flipped. But I
That's
looked
true.
at all the statistics, and you saw double-digit increases in the Republican vote.
Yes.
And I thought, and it was talked about in some of the talk shows about, how the Hispanic community, is turning more conservative and everything. But then in 2022, we didn't see that. We lost some of the House races that we thought we were going to win. And I started asking people why that was, and they said, well, it seems that the Hispanic people love Trump, but they don't necessarily, that doesn't translate into the down ballot Republican votes.
That is true. They will vote for him and then walk away.
Yeah.
That is true, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to change
Or they'll vote
that.
Democrat
And-
down
Isn't that
ballot.
ironic when the Republicans are the ones who fought for getting, with straight ticket voting? And it's, I think, affecting us by more.
Yes. But anyway, there is a lot of enthusiasm, and I'm going back to do training. I was in Alabama in November visiting with someone, and the family that I was with, they know that I'm politically involved, so they asked a whole bunch of questions. And before I knew it, they had invited a pastor who lived 3 or 4 houses down, and I gave this pastor all my slides because he said, "This is exciting. We don't have this here in Alabama. Who's teaching us this stuff?" And I just gave them reasons, point after point after point, of why we should be voting Republican. So see, it comes so easy to me. There's opportunities everywhere to bring this up. I was in Walmart, waiting in line to pay for my stuff, and I hear this man behind me griping, and he picked something up off you know how they've got these hanging things for sale right where the cash registers are, and he said, $2.98. I'm used to paying 50 cents for this crap. And I wanted to turn around and say, well, who did you vote for? But I didn't. But that was another opening. I said, yeah, things are bad, aren't they? He goes, oh, everything is bad. So again, an opportunity. They're everywhere because everything is bad.
I don't know how anybody who buys gas, pays for food, buys a new car, or anything can vote Democrat. I just don't understand it.
Because they watched the wrong media and Biden blames it all
That's
on Trump.
correct.
This is leftover.
That is
Now,
correct.
he's been gone for
And
3 years,
again,
but it's his fault.
it's tradition. They stick to tradition, and they voted Democrat. Their mama did, their daddy did, their grandpa did. I hear this over and over and over again. So it's up to us to re-educate and change things. I just hope that Trump doesn't mess up anymore and we get him back. So there's plenty to do, and I hope that none of you get discouraged. It's easy to get discouraged because there is so much against us. But that should give us more ammunition or more excitement to get out there and do what we have to do. Because it would be horrible to lose this nation.
They just
We're
posted-
that close to it.
On Epic Times, mail-in ballot fraud study finds Trump almost certainly won in 2020.
We already know that.
Almost.
Yeah, you think?
Well,
Is
almost
there
certainly.
anybody in
Almost.
here that doesn't think that Trump won in 2020? Okay.
Well, this discouragement thing that you're talking about is a
Yes.
real thing.
Yes.
Okay? I've been worried about it just, from the perspective of my voters, because, and I have a personal conversation with a lot of my voters, they all have slightly different reasons, well, why should I vote? We can't win.
Yes.
They're just gonna steal the election anyway. They're gonna cheat us out of the election. But, yeah, I mean, the big cheating happened in the swing states, right? In Pennsylvania and Virginia and Michigan and all that. And there's cheating in Texas, but it didn't cost us that much, really. I mean, we were able to overcome that, but they're applying all that bad news. And, I don't really know how to get that message out to the voters, but I was really pretty discouraged myself when, after this, all precinct chairs had to file in December to run again for the primary, right? And in Harris County, we had all-time high of precinct chairs, 550 or so precinct chairs. And we have a very active vacancy committee, and they meet twice a month, and it's been all from. We used to have 3-4 years ago we had 350 precinct chairs. Now we're at 550. Well, in this last filing period, 175 of those did not refile.
Oh,
So
that's a
we
big
go
amount.
from 550 to 370, or what is that? 375. That is a killer,
Yes, I agree.
And a lot of it was just an oversight. Some of it was an oversight, maybe 25 to 50 of them. But then you start calling a lot of them, and you get these apathetic responses like,
What's the
I'm
point?
tired of fighting it and
Yes.
not winning anything. So I think part of our objective, our strategy, I'll tell you a story about an effective sort of grassroots engagement that happened in Harris County, starting in 2021. We had, in my general area, we had a parent of a high school student who was seeing, all the things we don't like come back from their high school student. He said, well, I just have to get involved. This is one of the most effective political activists I've ever seen. And he starts putting together a group, and they go out, and when the people filed for school board, we had a school board, 7-member school board, that was controlled by liberals. Every one of them was a liberal, or if they had a Republican voting record, they were voting with the liberals. Okay, they were intimidated because they didn't. If they go against the grain, then they're called racists or homophobes, or transphobes, or whatever. Right? So they start this grassroots effort, and it was difficult because we had to convince the executive committee to endorse a slate of 3 conservative candidates. And in some of those races, there were choices between 2 Republicans. Okay? So there are Republicans in name only. I don't even like the acronym, but there are Republicans who don't vote conservative, right?
Yes.
And we see it on the school board, we see it in HOAs, we see it,
Yes.
Well, everybody's saying it permeates the Texas House, right? So anyway, so it took a monumental effort to endorse a slate of 3 candidates in 2021. But we did it, and then it took a lot of work. Some of these people knocked on 3,000-4,000 doors. Okay?
Wow.
They had the first day they block walked, they had about 25 people. The next week they had about 20 people, and then the next week they had about, how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there's a core of a half a dozen people to maybe 10 people that would walk. They started walking, not just on Saturday morning, but also Saturday afternoon. They break for lunch, they walk Saturday afternoon. Then they come back after church on Sunday afternoon, and they would block walk, which is a good time for them. And then they would block walk every weekday, starting at 5:30. They get off work, and this is a monumental effort. But the results of that were that we won all 3 of those board races.
That's great.
We were still in the minority, 4-3. So we couldn't really achieve anything. Well, come 2023, we decided there's a couple of things that we did wrong. We, in 2021, we just accepted the people that filed. Anybody could file, They didn't have any direction. They were low information candidates, They didn't really know what they were getting into. And so the election was in November. We started in February recruiting. We found 8 people to run who were interested in running for 4 slots. Said, okay, we're going to start having forums. And so starting in March or April, maybe it was May, but whenever it was, we started early having these forums. And they were forums of not voters, but just precinct chairs. We solicited all the precinct chairs, who should be the most motivated people to go out and get people. So we're not out there publicizing exactly what we're doing, but we're getting precinct chairs. There's about 75 precinct chairs in this school district. About 30 of them came to at least one of these forums. We had 3 forums. In these forums, we had a pastor, the one from my church, was the moderator, and he didn't have a vote in this school district, so he was, disinterested, whatever, an impartial person. And I attended them, I was impartial, so somebody had to count the votes, somebody had to be the moderator and everything. And so we had a series of questions and 3 different formats, and we went through it, and we would take notes in each forum, and we would try to coach our candidates. Okay, you talk too soft, you talk too loud, you talk too much, you don't talk enough, But, and so not in the spirit of criticism, but the spirit of.
Right.
And some of them got the message and became better candidates, and some of them didn't. Some of them came to, but anyway, so we were able to get, and then we voted, you know, and the top 4 candidates, we asked the candidates to be strategic and to recognize the will of the group, and let's only have one conservative candidate for every place. That's the smart way to do it.
Yes.
Well, we were successful except for the fact that the 5th place candidate didn't want to accept that. And so she ran a race against 1 liberal against 2 Democrats, so she split our vote. Okay? So in the other 3 races, we won. Some of them just by small margins, but employed the same hard work, you know, block walking every day. 3 people knocked on over 4,000 doors individually, each themselves, over that 3 or 4 month period. If that candidate had not split our vote, we would have won all 4 races. But she happened to run, she wanted to defeat the only real Democrat that was running. And so she wouldn't accept the will of the group. So she split the vote, and so she got the Democrat elected. But, so now, 2 elections earlier, we had 0 conservatives. Now we have 6 out of 7. But
Conservatives
yes,
elected. That's
6 out of
wonderful.
7. Now, the benefit of that is not just that we have, this is the 3rd largest school district in Texas. The benefit is that, you know, we can stop a lot of the nonsense that's going on, you know, in the libraries and in the curriculum and all that. But the benefit is that the voters in that school district have seen a victory. They've seen 3 out of 4 victories, 6 out of 7 victories over the last 2 years, and you have something to crow about to offset some of the discouragement that's around, you know. Well, look, now, we've done similar things, not necessarily with the same strategy, in the Katy School District. I think we control the Katy School District now, right? Don't we have 4 out of 7 there?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
We have a marginal,
Spring Branch too.
yeah, we have a marginal control in Katy. I think we got all 7 in Spring Branch.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know how many that is of the largest school districts in Texas, but it's a big part of the top 10. And in Katy School District, they had a vote not long ago. Was that on school books, or what was that our majority replaced liberal policy?
I think it was.
I think it was getting the you know, the bad books out of the school. But, and people on talk shows, you know, Michael Berry and those kind of people are talking about, well, it's about time we got.
That's great.
You know, so there are positive things we can do, but we have to be strategic, and we have to staff we have to find volunteers that will work like that.
Yes.
You talking about Sci-Fair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
see, and that's interesting too. You see, they changed churches, right? So it turns out that one of the precinct chairs in Harris County attends my church. He saw me at the Harris County EC meeting, and he approached me and said, "Hey, we're block walking for Sci-Fair. Would you like to come?" I said, "Sure." So I'm out there block walking for Sci-Fair and generating, you know, more interest.
Great,
So,
great.
that's how you build relationships with these people.
Rolando, everybody knows Rolando Garcia, right? And he has a definite reputation. Well, he has a similar reputation in Harris County. And he's very outspoken, he's very knowledgeable, and he's a very savvy political guy. So in the 2021 race, some of these people from Sci-Fair said, well, Rolando, just like Dale, hey, Rolando, we're block walking this weekend, so why don't you come out and block walk? Now, these people are very data savvy. They don't just focus on a street and go knock the doors, right? So you're in a local election. You want to focus on the people that vote in local elections. That means
Yes.
you're focusing on your high Rs, your high hard Rs,
Mhm.
right? And so those are the only doors they're knocking on, because those are the ones, they're the primary doors that they're knocking on. So Rolando goes out, and this is why I started going out and block walking, because Rolando comes back from that week and he says, wow, I've never seen anything like this. This is not your father's kind of block walking.
What did he mean?
It was focused. It wasn't, you weren't knocking
Okay.
on a bunch of
Organized
doors
and- yes.
and talking to Democrats, you
Yes,
know?
yes,
You
yes.
you were talking to people. It's a school board election. Nobody votes in a school board
Yes,
election, right?
I get it.
So now you're turning out people that don't normally turn out. You're giving them a reason. You're talking to the right people. You're giving them a reason. Now they're gonna be motivated to talk to their friends at lunch, in the grocery line, at church, or whatever, and say, wow, you see what
Yes.
Michael Berry said about what we did inside Fair schools,
And this,
and Katy schools, and Spring Branch schools?
it's candidate boot camp.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And we need that everywhere.
And the problem is getting the commitment from the candidate, because most of the people that run are either very low information candidates, or they just have a very big ego.
Yes.
You know? And you've got to overcome, if they've got the big ego and they're not
They're not
the
in
best
it for the
candidate,
right reason.
you've got a problem. And we weren't able to solve it. We had a similar problem in 21, but we were able to survive at that time, to win all three. I mean, I really wanted to win all seven, so I could say, hey, this is the template, you can win them all, you know?
Well,
6
this,
out of 7 is still a pretty good answer, you know, but,
this is part of engagement.
We have to work smarter instead of harder.
yeah.
So in our most recent college election, we had one lady who was an incumbent Democrat, and she was all over social media with a t-shirt that said, if I wanted a government in my vagina, I'd go F a senator. We had a picture of that, and we also have her on
Such a
video
classy lady.
During meetings, when they would stand up and give the prayer and the pledge, she'd turn around, put her back to the flag, and stand like this. I've block walked every door, and I said, you know, there's an important Collin College election, runoff election,
Yes.
and we have the lowest tax rate in the state for any community college, and the second lowest tuition, and the only reason we're second lowest is because we built a lot of buildings, and we're still second lowest. Here's the lady who's there now. Video.
The vulgar lady.
Yeah, here's
Okay.
the lady who's here now. Do you think that's good representation? I don't. I'm really concerned about this. You all know, because they're not partisan elections supposedly, and most people
Right.
don't know. I said, so here's a lady who's been in education a long time, and she wants to change that. Do you mind voting for her? I got Democrats voting for her all the time.
That's
Because
great.
you use your phone as a weapon
Great,
to
Maggie.
just show people. I'm doing that with Biden now. Videotapes of when he's stumbling and can't, whatever, because Democrats don't see that Biden. He's
No.
never on TV.
That's true.
Never on TV. So, there you are. And then quoting the statistics of how many people have come over the border. People have no idea. I know the border's open, but, you know, these people are here because they're looking for a better life, blah, blah, blah. So I went back to this one lady and said, are you aware? I never challenge people with like, whatever. Are you aware of this? She's like, that's not true. I said, here's the government website, government that you're supporting, website that says this many people have come.
That's right.
And that number equals the entire population of our 8 small states.
That's correct. That's a good point to make.
The population of our 8 small states. The entire population. We have replaced that many people in America. And her eyes got really big. I said, what?
And they don't
And then
think
you
about
ask
this
other
though.
questions like, what do you think the effect of that is going to be long term?
There aren't that many lawns to mow.
See, well, I never thought about that. See, they don't.
That's
they
exactly
never thought
correct.
about
They
it.
don't think about these
So we
things.
have to
And they're
approach-
using up our resources, the funds that should be helping veterans or probably, the elderly,
Just
whatever.
look, like,
It-
what happened in New York?
Oh.
They're giving larger checks to the legal immigrants than they are to the people on welfare in New York.
Unbelievable. But a lot of people are not aware of this. I keep saying we need to get the facts out, the truth, and we get the voters in. So
But
we've
we
got,
can't just tell people, because they don't believe you. You
I
have to
agree.
show people.
Amber Alert. Will anybody else have anything to add pertaining to engagement? We are engaging. Go
This
ahead.
is Brandon Burton. Does anybody know him?
I've heard his name.
He's in Collin County. He's a pastor. Got in trouble with the IRS because he was holding club meetings and so on, and they came after him. But he's written a book now called Daniel Nation, and it pertains to all the bus trips we took down to Austin and all the things that he has done to be engaged as a pastor and what he is continuing to do. And his book is now on Amazon, just released. And
Have you read it?
I'm this far along. I just got it the other
Okay.
night. It was just released.
Daniel
Yeah.
Nation?
Yeah, Daniel Nation. And he's sponsoring a bus for us to go down to Beaumont to block walk against Dave Phelan. We're not telling anybody where we're staying because Dave Phelan got our hotel canceled out for Monday.
How did that happen?
Yep,
You're kidding.
yeah. So nobody knows where we're staying except the people who are going. And we're not using any name that anybody would recognize. We're not, it's all incognito because the bad people do bad things.
Yes, they do.
Anyway,
Well,
there are pastors out there. Bunny Pounds is another one. with Christopher
yeah,
Gates.
she's the one.
There are tons of people out there doing things. We just don't generally hear about it.
Yes.
So-
We're not alone. We
Yeah.
really are not.
Yeah. He got a sword
So-
from Texas Scorecard, so
Great.
that was good.
So this is it. We're here till 2:30, but if we're done,
Move to adjourn.
Second.
second. The meeting is adjourned.
Oh, wait a minute, got a question over there.
I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that the deadline for local elections is February 16th. So the deadline is approaching to get candidates filed for the May election.
Yeah,
Oh,
May
okay.
elections, yep.
And if you have anybody who's running in May, any conservatives who are running in May, they can set up a booth outside the primary and talk to the primary candidates for the primary voters. Because one of the things that we found when we were targeting Republicans who never vote in May in a bond election is a lot of these Republicans were very much of the, oh, well, I don't have kids, so I don't really have a say in the school district races. So,
So when you say set something up outside, you mean outside of the building?
outside the 100-foot,
The 100-foot?
yeah, they can set up,
Okay.
they can set up a booth, you can have a voter information booth, and they can say, please vote for these primary candidates, and also come back in May and vote again. Because a lot of people are like,
Yes, they think the primary's
They
it.
did these bond elections on a Saturday, May ballot. Well, that's not a hiding of an election. That's a regularly occurring election that people just don't know about. And we also found out that a lot of Republicans, when they want to vote on election day, well, if they're voting on a bond, they think election day is Tuesday. And so they don't show up to vote until after the bond is already passed, because the election day is Saturday.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that we're finding out with how to engage Republicans in May elections.
Thank you.
But good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
It's working smarter, not harder.
Well, you still need the heart. We still need to go look
I'm not
these people.
denying that,
Yeah. We still need to look these people in the eye and show them the videos and show them the things, because they won't play the videos, they won't see the videos, they won't go to the websites. You have to literally shove it in their face.
That's true. Okay, so we are done here.